Hi, I'm Michaela Scurlock, and this is a pro-wife story. Today I get to spend time with Kelly Proehl. Kelly is the wife of former Carolina Panther Ricky Proehl, who now coaches for the team. I can tell you this, her story is definitely going to touch your heart, so stay with us.
I am a follower of Christ, a wife to Ricky, a mom. I believe our life is an accumulation of choices. Make the choices every day. It's the simple, ordinary things in life that grow us. My legacy would be that I wanted to serve to others, and that's really all that matters.
Michaela Scurlock presents A Pro-Wife Story, featuring Kelly Proehl.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I want to start by saying, how did you and Ricky meet?
Ricky and I met in college at Wake Forest University, and we met right away our freshman year. He was from Jersey, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, and right away we just clashed. He just loved to make fun of me, so I did not like him one bit, to be honest with you, for like 2 years.
Wow, did you know at all that he had a chance to make it to the NFL?
Well, I didn't really know a ton about football then, so it was later probably in college, like more like his junior, especially his senior year, that, you know, I probably personally started recognizing that, you know, all the scouts were coming in to watch him, or, you know, he was putting up great numbers and things like that. So I'm sure he knew a lot more than I did, but.
So I'm thinking, this is kind of interesting. He likes you, obviously, but he's making fun of you. Like, explain that. I want to back up on that as I'm thinking about that.
Yeah. Well, I guess now as I'm older, you know, we understand better that maybe people that pick on you really like you. He just would pick on me. He'd make fun of me, like the color of my hair, it was too blonde. I mean, it was just silly, silly stuff. But the funny thing is, in high school, my nickname was No Joke. So I just didn't take jokes well. So, you know, that coming together was just, it's funny when you look back on it because he's still a jokester. He's a lot of fun. So I've definitely grown, you know, tougher in that. And yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that you felt that way, because most women probably be like, I do not want to date you.
Right, yeah.
I mean, so that's good that you said, oh, he's a jokester, that's great, you know. And so when the scouts started coming in and you saw all that, did that have an impact on your relationship at all?
It really didn't.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
And when he then finally got drafted, you guys had been dating for how long?
It was probably about a year and a half.
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then so he got drafted, and did you guys graduate at the same time?
We did.
Okay.
We graduated at the same time, and so he was drafted by what was then the Phoenix Cardinals, and so he moved out to Phoenix, and I actually was a flight attendant for a couple of years.
Wow, that was my dream job always.
Was it?
I know this is another show, but that's what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go to grad school for counseling, but I just wasn't ready to continue at that point. And I knew he was going out there, and I love to travel, so it was a great kind of an interim thing. I got to see a lot of the world and lived with my best friend in Dallas, and so.
Wow, so he got drafted, you were a flight attendant, you were working, and then he proposed.
Yes, back at Wake Forest. It was really sweet. He asked my dad to take my hand, and then we drove up to a basketball game at Wake Forest, and he had a great idea. It was to ask me in the chapel on the quad at Wake. And I was, you know, of course I had no idea. So I was like not patient at all and just kept, let's go, you know. So he ended up asking me in front of the shop, like the apparel shop on the quad.
And then did you get married right away, or?
We got married in April of the next year. So that would have been, it probably would have been about a little over a year later.
So when you guys get married, I know it's a transition to just be, you know, first not being married, now you're all of a sudden married. But in your case, you transitioned from not being married to being married, but then also from not being in the NFL to being in the NFL. How did that affect you personally?
Well, I mean, it was a physical move for me to move from, I had moved to Atlanta to train, then I moved to Dallas. So physically, I moved to Phoenix, which that was a big change because it was a new place, a new city. Phoenix is very different than North Carolina. But really, that ignited a love in me for change. I really today still love to move. I know it's crazy. I don't love the physical part by any means. That's very, very hard. But I love new cities. I love meeting new people. And so it really became a journey for me personally that I really enjoyed. And I met some of our dearest friends in Phoenix. Our daughter was born out there.
So you never really felt like your career or who you wanted to be had to take a backseat to what he was doing, it seems like. It
really didn't. I fully supported him. I knew he had a gift, as a player. And no, it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't at all.
That's amazing. Well, we have to take a little break, but when we come back, there's much more I want to ask you.
Okay.
More with Michaela and Kelly Proehl when a Pro Wife Story returns. A Pro Wife Story continues with Michaela and Kelly Proehl.
So Kelly, you said you have a love to move, which I think is funny because most people hate to move.
I know.
But how many years, first of all, did Ricky play?
17.
Yeah, I have to say this, and I really want to emphasize, because that is a crazy amount of time, especially in this profession where the body physically takes such a beating.
Yes.
And during those 17 years, you guys moved how many times?
Oh, I was recounting that leading up to our time together, and I'm coming up with like 22 times. Yeah, so we've been married 24
more
years.
Than actually the amount of years that you played.
Right, yes. And a lot of that was like we were in Phoenix, starting out for 5 years. And then we were traded to Seattle. And so that was then that we built a home, what we considered home. The league was changing, the climate of the league was changing with free agency. And so we wanted a home base, like a consistency for the family.
I mean, I've known you for many years, and obviously not everyone knows that your husband and my husband played together at the St. Louis Rams. And I say we, it's always we played, right?
Yes, always.
It's we, and we only played for 2 teams. But just even moving twice was a challenge because you have to pick up, make new friends, find new doctors. There's so many things that, because you're not just leaving a subdivision or a house, but you're actually leaving an area. So how did you deal with that every single time?
I really, honestly, I didn't even know, my faith then wasn't as strong as it is today by any means, but it was really the way God had just made me, because I feel like I thrived in it. Like I didn't dread it. I didn't, because when we moved to Seattle, that was really the first move for us, from being planted in one place and having grown some roots. I really think, and you know this too, Michaela, just being with the wives, that becomes a big part of your connection, your family, your support, because the men are working a lot. I leaned on that. I leaned on the organizations for doctors and things like that. But I think I was young and I was a little naive. I just kind of just went with it, I just did. And I loved it. I've loved our journey.
Did Ricky's, career impact the way you felt about not just the moves, but about anything in life in general? Was his fame any way affecting you, or were you just being Kelly?
Yeah. Well, I would hope to think that people would say I was just being Kelly, because I do feel like, I don't feel like anyone's better than anyone else. We're all on the same, we all have a platform, no matter what we do. So no, I hope it didn't affect me. I loved watching him play. I always loved that. And I think he is so humble, and he's always, handled that beautifully too.
I can really say that, and because I know you guys so well.
Thank you.
I know for a fact, both of you have really done that. You guys have both always been an impact to, not just those people immediately around you, but the community as a whole. It's interesting, you know, I think sometimes, because from my own experience, when my husband played, Mike,
Yeah.
there were sometimes encounters that we had with just fans.
Yes.
Some positive and some not so positive. Do you have any of those that you can share with us?
Well, I do remember specifically in Phoenix, and this was hard because I wasn't there yet. You know, we weren't even married. It was early on, but there was, you know, he was young, he was single. You know, he did get a lot of letters from females, and you know, I'd go and I'd see the letters, and there was one lady who, you know, really stalked him. Now we laugh about it, but yeah, I think all through, you know, they do get a lot of attention, and I mean, the Rams was a big spot for us. We were there for a while, and yeah. But I really feel like the moving around, and I really feel like it was a blessing in our marriage as newlyweds that we moved away, and because I think it's made us a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Moving a lot and being away, living out west for a while.
I think you tend to rely on each other more
Yes.
than you probably would if you were within your comfort zone. I totally
I
agree.
agree.
I always felt like that sometimes I had to serve as a cheerleader, you know, as
Yes.
a cheerleader to not just my family, but as a cheerleader to him too. Did you feel that way too? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Ricky, and I don't know how Mike was, but Ricky's pretty even keel. And I actually still today just talk a lot about how strong he is mentally, because I admire that a lot. You know, as I've grown as a person in my life, it's something that I really, really admire. And so we didn't get a lot of like peaks and valleys with him, you know, in the home after we lost for 10 years. I mean, you know, we were never on a winning team.
I can relate. I want to say this, I can relate.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for 10 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, whether or not you just get used to it or what, but he has never been hard in that way to live with. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely a cheerleader. And that comes from just, you know, the authentic part of my heart that I really did love, you know, watching him play.
More with Michaela and Kelly Proehl when a pro-wife story returns. A pro-wife story continues with Michaela and Kelly Proehl.
So I'm wondering, I know obviously earlier you mentioned that you were a flight attendant, but then while Ricky was playing and you guys started to have children, did you work, or were you just, I don't want to say just a stay-at-home mom, because I think a stay-at-home mom is the biggest job, but I'm curious, did you work outside the home as well? I
didn't. I stayed home with the kids and loved that. And really doing what we were doing with the moving, because we built that home in Greensboro, North Carolina, because we were every 6 months back and forth. So after Phoenix, you know, for the next couple of teams, we would go 6 months, you know, in one place, 6 months back home to have that consistency.
Did you ever deal with any insecurities during that time?
Yeah, a lot. It can be lonely.
Yeah.
It can be lonely, and that's where, you know, I'm super grateful, you know, looking back on the journey for the wives. You know, just the closeness of just the fellowship of the wives. And I mean, even today, you know, I see that and I feel that. I'm very thankful for that.
What were some of those insecurities that you can think of?
Well, I could say one of them is worrying too much about what people think. You know, I mean, in the context of the moving and stuff, I don't know how that applies, but I think that, you know, as I've grown to be stronger again in my faith and who I am and my identity, I don't worry about things like that like I used to. I mean, when you were young, that's, you know, that can be kind of normal. You know, wondering if I was doing a good job, you know, being a mom, being, you know, I mean, we are on our own a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the part about what you just said, you know, it's huge when you said that, wondering what other people think.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think there's a misconception about women who are married to professional athletes that everything is great. Yeah. Everything is great. Every single day it's great. But it doesn't matter what your husband does for a profession, right? You still have those ups and downs.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because I do remember that being like your appearance
Yeah.
was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, when he played. I mean, that probably had a lot to do with that I wasn't as secure with myself, as I am today.
Yeah.
Because I really today don't even think about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I think, pressure that sometimes, we put on ourselves,
Yes.
but then also pressure that others put on us, right?
Right.
And you made a great point by saying that it's, you as a person have grown.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think about what I look like or what
Yeah.
I wear or
Right.
anything like that. But today, he coaches, and
Yeah.
I don't think, back then
Yeah.
I would know what I was going to wear to the game 5 days before the game. I'd go out and shop and,
I totally know that.
Yeah, and
That's why I
today
brought it
it's-
up, because I do know.
Exactly. Today it's pull out the jean shorts and a
Yeah.
t-shirt and,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this sense of freedom. And I think we need to give that message to everyone
Yes.
watching, because I want people to know that no matter what you do,
Yeah.
don't be a slave to maybe what other people may think.
And at the end of the day, I love the word together. We're in it together, and I don't know anyone who's arrived, and we do need to be real with each other and, know that we all struggle with things.
Right, right.
And we can help one another.
And it's true. You said by no means have we arrived, but we have tried to get better when it comes to that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in you being transparent about it helps someone else to be transparent in that area too.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. When the kids got older and they all went to school,
Yes.
I'm curious, when you come home and that first day when your smallest one is in kindergarten and all of a sudden it's quiet.
Yes.
Was that like another
It's
transition?
very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that vividly. I remember going out to the car because Blake had just started kindergarten, and but I had a task at hand, and that was I was helping raise money for the Pat Tillman Foundation. So I literally drove. It's kind of neat to look back on it. I drove. Ricky was playing in Charlotte for the Panthers, and I drove from Greensboro to Charlotte to meet with some people about raising money for his foundation. So God was good in that He had given me a focus.
Yeah,
And
right.
so I was on task, and I couldn't wade too much in the emotions of, the baby had gone to school.
Yeah, that is, again, I remember too.
Yes.
It's sort of tough. It's sort of like freeing.
Yeah.
But then you're like,
Yeah.
do I really want that freedom?
Right.
So,
it's like the whole identity thing again.
Yeah.
Like I've been a mom,
Yeah.
for this long, and now, like, okay, well, they're not here, you
Yeah.
know. So.
Right.
But it was exciting too, because you're right. Like you did have like the day, like, oh, I have some freedom.
Some freedom to do whatever it is that
Yeah.
we say we want to do, but it never turns out that way.
Right.
So it's still something, that I think, we always search for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And bottom line, time goes fast. I mean,
Yeah.
that time from 8 in the morning till 2:30 it's not as long as we think it is, or we
Yeah.
really thought it was going to be.
And the time from them being kindergartners
That's right.
to being in high school
Yes.
goes fast too.
Yes.
So I'm with you, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have to take a little break, but when we come back, I want to talk about you specifically, what you're doing now.
Okay.
More with Michaela and Kelly Proehl when a Pro-Wife Story returns. A Pro-Wife Story continues with Michaela and Kelly Proehl.
So now, I know you do volunteer work.
Yes.
And you currently are volunteering for the PRC. Tell me what that stands for.
The Pregnancy Resource Center.
Okay. And what is it that you do for them?
Well, on Friday mornings, hopefully as many Fridays as I can get out there, we have a medical RV unit that sits about 100 yards from the busiest abortion clinic in North Carolina, and we stop cars. I get very emotional. It's tough, it's intense, but I know I've been called to it, and we just have to trust that the cars stop that should stop. But we're really just there as a resource and to love these girls that are going to the clinic. And the beauty of PRC is that we offer ultrasounds and pregnancy tests at no cost. So, again, we're there to really come alongside these girls who are in crisis and see if we can't, have a quick conversation by the car, get them to, feel encouraged and safe enough to pull over and come inside this RV where we have an ultrasound tech and a nurse and some wonderful client advocates to talk with the girls and just talk about where they are. And, we're there to really to love and not to judge, but to also, we want to equip them with enough information that they know how far along they are. They know if they're still pregnant. 20% of babies are miscarried. And that clinic is not going to tell them that, and they're not going to show them the ultrasound. So we're really that's what we're there for.
So some of these women who are on their way
Yes.
to get an abortion, they actually can have an ultrasound done before they have an abortion.
Yes.
And they see the baby
At no cost.
at no cost.
PRC is wonderful. And this is just one thing that the PRC does. I've been out on the street for, I guess it's probably been a year and a half, and just warriors really out there who just who really just love these girls, but there's also many other services that the Pregnancy Resource Center offers here in Charlotte, baby showers for moms and just classes to help teach moms, how to be a mom. And it's phenomenal the work that they do.
To make them feel, and it's emotional to me too, just
Yeah.
listening to you, not alone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you share something very personal with them too, right?
Yes, yes. Well, I have two things that I get to share with them. And one is that I had an abortion when I was young. And I lost a baby 3 years ago. So I know that I can use my story to meet these girls where they are. I can truly say, I know how you feel. I know where you are. And I can I think there's a connection there of trust immediately that, hopefully I can be a light, to them. I would have done anything for someone to just stop my car. So, it's just, for me, it's so much my faith and just knowing that God has brought beauty from the ashes in my life. And I know that it's all been redeemed and I'm restored and I live in complete freedom today from this. And I live in a great joy, a complete joy, and I love that. But I want these girls who are going to experience a lot of shame and a lot of guilt not to live in that, So it's tough. It's tough.
It's really tough for me because I can relate both ways to you.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I too, got pregnant very young and before we got married. And I too, was given the opportunity to have an abortion.
Yeah.
And I also didn't have someone stop my car. I just happened to be in a place where God,
Yeah.
I believe, at that point in time kept me from doing it.
Yeah.
And then also I can relate to you, of course, being pregnant or finding out being pregnant after being
Right.
40, right?
Right.
Because when you said, because you found out that you were pregnant again at age
45.
45. Right, and I was over 42.
Right.
And
Yeah. And, I look back on that and from what you're saying and then what I'm saying, two stories who, and God allowed me to go make that decision, and I lived in a secret for a long time, and that's why I want to share it. And we hide this, and when it's in the dark, it can't be used for good. You know, we need to let it out, and we need to come together again, you know, as women, and help each other heal and know that there is forgiveness, you know, in Christ. There is restoration, there is redemption. And for me, you know, through the church I go to here, Elevation Church, and this is one of their outreach partners, and it was just a way that he just directed my steps to that church and to this place where I can go out and serve these women, you know, and just be a voice of hope. And, you know, I mean, honestly, not a lot of cars stop. Not a lot of them choose life after they come into the RV, but the one that does is the one that came back.
So have you actually experienced
yeah.
that, where someone was going to go to get an abortion and they said, I'm not going to do it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I would think that feeling must be just overwhelming.
Yeah. There's no, to me, like, I share this with my Bible study group, it's the hardest work I've ever done, and I dread it. I'll be honest with you, every week. You know, I texted a friend Jill this morning who coordinates the mobile, and I'll be there Friday, you know, and I know, and I don't dread it, but it's heavy work, you know, but I'm out there with the most amazing women, and it is a battlefield every day, but I know it is the most fulfilling work. I've never felt so close to building the kingdom of God than I do out there on that street.
And I think listening to you and seeing your heart and seeing how you use your own pain to make someone else stronger and to empower others, to me it's just such an inspiration, because it's my prayer that there are going to be more like you who will share their story and be willing to share their story. So I know how difficult this is to talk about, so I just want to thank you so much for saying that and for sharing with us. Definitely.
More with Michaela and Kelly Proehl when a pro-wife story returns. A pro-wife story continues with Michaela and Kelly Proehl.
So obviously what we just got through sharing was emotional, you know, for you to share, emotional for me to listen to, but more so, you know, I'm excited to hear it because I'm excited about your passion to help others. And it seems it's so clear that you are a woman with so much strength. Talk about it. Tell me, you know, how do you get to that?
Oh, me. I mean, for me, it's all faith. It's just, it's my faith, and knowing that, you know, I was talking about this morning with my Bible study. I mean, you know, I think that compared to the world and what we see every day on the news, I think we all have a tendency to think that we're good. I mean, we're good people, you know, and we're doing okay. We're not doing that. We're not doing this. But bottom line is that we are sinful people, you know, and that there is, you know, in my opinion, one way to be forgiven of that, and it's through Christ, and that's really what turned my life around. And I will tell you, you know, in the context of just my journey as a professional football player's wife, it was the wives in my life that brought me into this growing faith. And so I am so grateful for this journey. It was started in Seattle when we were with the Seahawks, and I was asked to come to a Bible study with some of the wives, and I was just such an infant then, you know, but it just grew and grew. You know, we went to Chicago Bears from there to the Rams, and with the Rams, I mean, you talk about a powerful group of women, starting with Brenda Warner, you know, and just, I mean, you know, I mean, it's hard to even put into words, honestly, what those 5 years were like. Not even just football, it was exhilarating for us. I know, I mean, I was so sad y'all left right before the year we went to the Super Bowl.
That's okay, you know, we watched you guys from home.
Another losing year, I understand.
Right.
But we actually, you know, that second year for us there was the Super Bowl. And so it was exhilarating on the football field, but just maybe even more exhilarating in the spiritual growth, you know, in my life, and just being together with these women. I mean, it was powerful. It really was. It was a time of huge growth for me, which has just continued and continued. So my faith is what is my, my joy in the Lord is my strength. Knowing that I am forgiven doesn't take away, the pain and the emotions and, just how many times I have to look at a picture of our family and, I know that there should have been one more child, maybe another, that we lost, and it's hard.
So I want to say this.
Yeah.
For you. You may not see the physical body of that child, but I am convinced that that child is with you and with your family. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think it's that child who's given you that strength to drive a lot of this.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, obviously you earlier touched on this a little bit. You said that when you unexpectedly found out, just 3 years ago, right?
Yes.
That you were expecting again.
Yes.
What goes through your mind when you're 45 and you find out, oh, I'm pregnant?
The first thing I thought is I'm really fertile. I'm really 45 years old. And I attribute that to, part of my journey in nutrition. But, again, I do believe that was a gift in my life, in our life. And do I understand it? No. Will I ever? Probably not. But I will tell you, when I went into the doctors, and and the doctor said, you probably shouldn't keep it. I said, you have no idea, and maybe that was it, So, but yeah, it's tough. It is tough, but it's also okay. I really truly live in such a joy, in a place of gratitude today. And I really just want to be real, because I know, because when I open up to women, how many women out there who have been through this and keep it a secret. And there's a lot of healing that can take place when you bring it to the light.
And I think when you go through things like that, and you're not going through it alone.
Yeah.
And when I say that, it's because I know, obviously, you contribute your strength to God, which, I wholeheartedly believe that, we do need His strength.
Yes.
In order for us to go through anything. But I believe then when you use those situations and those experiences to touch so many around you, it like you said, you may not understand why things happen, but you learn to appreciate the purpose, right? Or something bigger that comes out of it.
When I first found out, I was angry. I mean, and even to think back to what the choice I had made years before, and then I find this out, and at first I was angry because our kids are the same,
Right.
I mean, we're almost an empty nester, so I'm like, really? Like, really? But then it all flipped, and then we fully embraced, and we're so excited, and I really felt like that was my redemption baby, to be honest with you. But, that wasn't the purpose. There's a greater purpose. I believe in that.
I just think, you have been given stories to share. And I think it's those stories that make you who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all have a story. I just think we need to, I think as a world, especially with everything going on today, and you have been such an encouragement to me in this, the reason you're doing the show is just for women to come together and unite and to be real and be transparent. And, if my pain, like you said, and you being honest about how you felt, if that will just help more people unite and open up and just come together, then that's a beautiful thing in today's world.
And it's not always easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked at the beginning of the show about, thinking about how we look and what we wear. And at this point, we don't care anymore, because I know, we've been crying and
right.
And we can't, because I feel like that's the only way we really can move forward and make an impact.
Yeah, that's right. We need to let the guards down and, be real.
More with Michaela and Kelly Proehl when a Pro-Wife Story returns. A Pro-Wife Story continues with Michaela and Kelly Proehl.
So you're quite the entrepreneur. right? Because you have your own business now.
Yes. And it's so funny when you say that, you know, because I guess I am, you know. It didn't start out with me, that wasn't like my dream or my goal or anything, but what happened was right when Blake was going to kindergarten, which we talked a little bit about, I did have time, you know, and I was doing some stuff for help raise money for Pat Tillman's foundation, but I was also starting to organize and run football camps for Ricky and our foundation. So I felt this, I guess I was starting to see that I had some gifts in organizing events and things like that. So it led me down this path of running, training for a marathon, which is funny because I'm not even a runner, but I did start running a lot, and with a really good friend of mine, and I got injured, and a friend suggested that I look closer at Juice Plus Whole Food Nutrition to help heal my body on the inside. That was an epiphany for me because I had grown up sick. I mean, I grew up really not eating well. A lot of sugar, a lot of fried foods, a lot of soda. I never drank water. I never, you know, I just didn't. And so this was a gift for me because I was scared. You know, our kids were 6, 9, and 11 at the time, and I was not well, and they weren't well. We were, you know, asthma, allergies, eczema. I have migraines, and we just fell in love with the fact that it's nutrition and it's fruits and vegetables, berries and grains, and it's just like juicing made easier and more.
That's great how you turned your business into a lifestyle.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It was literally the I mean, really, that's the story, is that it changed our health completely. And then the entrepreneurial part of it was just that I fell in love with what it had done for us. And I didn't even know what kind of business I was starting. I just shared it with everyone. And that's what happened.
And then Ricky obviously coaches now.
Yes.
So I know for a fact you guys over the weekends are busy.
Yes.
Because you have
3 football games. Friday night we have high school with Blake, Saturday college with Austin, and Sunday Ricky's coaching for the Panthers.
Yeah, you have to really love football to do that. And then through all that, you still have time for your foundation because you guys, Ricky and you, founded the Power Foundation, right?
Yes, the Ricky Proehl Power of Play Foundation. Power is an acronym for play, opportunity, work, excellence, and respect. And we started that foundation to serve children in North Carolina, kids that are just less fortunate, at risk, you know, in need, and really serving kids with developmental, physical, emotional, mental needs. And then now that we built Prolific Park in Greensboro, which is our family sports complex and fitness center, we use a lot of the funds that we raise for the foundation to help bring kids to the park, to have a safe place to grow, to learn, to thrive. And then we also serve, you know, other children in the state of North Carolina.
One thing, the very last question that I have for you is, because you're so perfect, because you're so transparent, and you have, you know, shown us what it means to be transparent, what advice is it that you would give those, you know, watching this episode?
Well, golly, that's, I just think that choices, you know, I have a quote that I say a lot, and my kids probably get sick of me saying it, but our life is an accumulation of choices that we make. And there is a law of reaping and sowing. I mean, it is just the way it is. So be careful, you know, the choices you make. And, you know, if you're at a place in your life where you're looking to grow, in whatever way, I mean, in strength, you know, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, make the choices every day. You know, it's the simple, ordinary things in life that grow us. And, you know, for me, that has been, you know, my Christian faith. I mean, without a doubt. And just that journey in football that God used to surround me with women who were much stronger and wiser than I was, you know, to edify me, to lift me up until a place now where, you know, I feel like I'm more firm on my feet, and I can, you know, hopefully go and really serve and help grow others. So just make wise, good choices, you know, to grow yourself towards where you want to be.
Who is Kelly Proehl?
Oh, well, I am a follower of Christ, and that's the first thing I am. A wife to Ricky, a mom. I am an entrepreneur. I mean, I have a very successful business, and I love that. I love what we do at the park and with the foundation. I work at PRC. So I hope that people look at me and think, you know, my legacy would be that I wanted to serve, you know, really give back to others, because I think in the end that's really all that matters, you know.
That's so true. And, you know, and in saying all this, you obviously are still involved in football, because you're still a football wife, just on the other side.
Yes.
Right? With Ricky coaching now, but you have transitioned into that also beautifully.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
I mean, coaching is very different.
Yeah.
I will say that, you know, and I think back to when he played for all those years. I mean, I'll be honest, and it sounds really callous, but we didn't think much about the coaches' schedules and what they did, but it is completely different. I mean, Ricky and these guys work 17 hours a day, most days. You know, they put in a lot of time, a lot of heart, you know, and I mean, I'm just very grateful to my husband. He's provided for us so well for so many years. He has a great gift in coaching these kids, and he loves them like, you know, they're his own. And
I'm sorry, it's funny. Did you refer to the players as kids? Because I'm like, don't say
They
that.
are,
That makes
though.
me feel really old. Don't
I
say
know.
that. Don't say kids.
We are getting older, and they are kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how young, you
Yeah.
know, they really are, and they don't just need coaching on the field, but they do need coaching in life, and I'm proud of my husband for that.
And your kids adjusted well too. I mean,
Yeah,
because your baby is in high school, and obviously.
and he moved here in 8th grade, and
Yeah.
you know, we often commend him on that, because 8th grade, you know, it's a hard year, middle school year.
It is, huh?
Just to, you know, move him here then. But he's acclimated beautifully. All the kids have, and I really think that's attributed to just all the moving we've done. They may get the bug too, that they like to move.
Yeah. You will always be the oddball when it comes to that. I'm sorry. And out of all the women I've talked to, you're the only one who has so far said, I like to move.
Yeah.
I still don't like to move.
Well, I like the movers to move the stuff, but I do like new cities.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So.
Well, I cannot say enough to you. Thank you so much for, you know, letting me come in, allowing me to chat with you, sharing with us, being transparent. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So thank you so much, again, from the bottom of my heart. And I know your story will touch many.
Thank you. And I'm thankful for you
Oh,
as much, seriously.
thank you. I appreciate that.
You've been watching A Pro-Wife Story, presented by Michaela Scurlock and the Carolina Panthers.